In ways big and small, the world has changed, but our commitment to getting you safely out in it, that never will.
안녕하세요. My name is Mateo Kusio and I work at Delta Airlines. I'm very proud to be here today at the Gggf 2021 forum. I apologize we cannot be in person, but still very exciting to get together. I've been in Delta for a long time, 15 years, and I'm in charge of Asia Pacific from our headquarters, which is here in Seoul. So you can imagine how excited we are about Korea and its development and about the US-Asia aviation industry in general. Today, I'm talking about alliances and global alliances, and I'm really proud to say that Delta is probably one of the pioneers and of alliance and cooperation strategy across the globe, definitely in the overall space and sure in the aviation industry. When I said pioneer, if you think about our first joint venture with Air France and KLM on the transatlantic, this is the largest and first joint venture in the aviation industry. And after that, we continue to deploy that model across the globe, in Asia, in Latin America, and we've been very successful with our joint venture and with our partnership strategy. The recipe goes around probably what I call 4 or 5 key points. First, we choose global partners that share our same obsession for customer and for employees. That passion to make our industry better, I think, is the common value that you can find across all our partners. Second, we connect our network. As you know, we try to offer our customer the best travel experience, and we do that by connecting our hub in US to our partners hub. In this case, in Seoul is Seoul. In Europe is Paris and Amsterdam, and London with Air France, with KLM, with Virgin. Third, we try to offer a seamless customer experience. We want to provide our customer the best travel journey, no matter who flies the part of the itinerary. And so we try to align our policies, we try to align our network, we try to align our product so that the customer feels taken care across the entire journey. Fourth, we act as one, and that I think is a very powerful way to look at our joint venture and our partnership. We think as we plan our growth, as we plan our strategy, we do act as one company, despite, of course, we leverage each other's strength in the local market. And lastly, I think we try to be always in a win-win mode, because no strategy of partnership does deploy good results unless everybody's winning at the table. And I think that's very important for us and for our partners. We've been growing with our partners across the globe, and what I like to do today is probably focusing on Korea and Asia as we discuss with all of you. Korea is a very dynamic market and has a very strong growth potential that's been expressed probably in the last 10 years. If you think about how Korea has emerged with low-cost carriers growing from being 10% of the market 10 years ago to over 30% of the market now, and with international travel outbound from Korea to the rest of the world growing significantly, and with business market too from Korea growing significantly. So Korea is a very important aviation market, and when you look at US to Asia, Korea is one of the top 3 aviation markets with China and with Japan. Each of them is different. Korea doesn't have any strong domestic market. The domestic market is very small, but it's at a very strong outbound market and a very strong international market, which makes it exciting for us. The other key factor that I think classify Korea as a super exciting market is very concentrated in Seoul. And in Seoul, it has the strong hub, which is Incheon, which is an incredible connecting facility. And it is an airport that has been a pioneer in growing connectivity, growing customer service, and improving operational reliability for the connections of the airlines. And we are proud partners of the Incheon Airport. And with them, I think we can continue to grow Korea in the coming years. And finally, when I talk about the importance of Korea for Delta, as you know, we have a joint venture with Korean Airlines. So Delta and Korean Air have a very long history of partnership, as both of us were among the founding members of SkyTeam alliances. But it's only 3 years ago that we evolved our relationship and our partnership in a new joint venture, which was approved actually in May 2018. So it's only 3 years old. We call it as a baby. And it was a joint venture that it takes some time to build, but probably is what we consider one of our fastest, most successful joint venture in terms of implementation. And when you think about the core design behind this joint venture, you have Korean Air, which is the largest Asian carrier to US. And you have Delta, which is incredible strength domestic network with hub in Atlanta, in Detroit, in Minneapolis, in New York, in Seattle, and key position in Los Angeles and in Boston. And so you combine the power of Delta network and the power of Korean network, and all of a sudden you're connecting US to Asia from 290 destinations in US all the way to 70 destinations in Asia. And all this connection happens through Incheon Airport mainly, which is top-in-class facility. The joint venture relocated to the new Terminal 2 that had opened, of course, also in the beginning of 2018, and offers as fast as 45 minutes connect time for connecting international to international. This is among the most efficient connecting experience of any airport in the world, one of the crown jewel of Korea as an aviation market, and of course, proud home for Delta and Korean Air joint venture. And if you think about, of course, pre-COVID, all the statistics that we have on the success of the joint venture are related to before the pandemic hit. But in only 1 year and a half, the joint venture was able to grow the US traffic to Asia via Incheon over 20%. The joint venture was able to launch new markets like Incheon to Boston, Incheon to Minneapolis. And even during the pandemic, we were able to announce the new Incheon to Portland market that will start as soon as situation recovery. So if you think about the partners together, what we're trying to do is growing the Korea market to US, growing the overall US-Asia market, and offer our customer top-in-class service so that when you're traveling from US to Asia, there's no doubt in how and where you want to connect. It needs to happen here in Korea. Now, when you think about joint venture during the pandemic, and this is for me very important, is where you see the power of being coordinated as two airlines acting like one rather than two. As you know, our industry focused the strongest and most difficult time. And in only 1 month, 2 months and a half, our world was completely, let's say, changed from a grow environment to a rebuild environment, where everything became safety of our employees, safety of our customer, and that became the only priority, of course, for our airline for the last probably 2 years. And being together allowed us to deploy safety programs like Delta Care Standards or Korean Air First, and even within Incheon Airport Safety Program. But we were able to plan these safety processes that were brand new all together. We were able to learn from each other how to do best to protect our customer and our employee, and how to deploy it as fast as possible. We were able to partner with Incheon Airport and with the authorities to keep US-Asia traveling alive, to keep US-Asia travel open, to keep Korea-US open. And I never forget the first day that new temperature requirements were instituted at the airport. So we were thinking, okay, in order to board customer from Incheon to US, we need to make sure that their temperature control is controlled. And only because the joint venture was there, we were managed to deploy that the day after, and we managed to have our flight go to US that day. And those are just examples that tries to make you understand how partnership, how alliances make the results better than two carriers acting on their own and two carriers trying to figure it out on their own. And I have plenty of these examples, but I think the most important one are what is happening with our people, because our people are learning from each other every day and foster a culture of collaboration that really drives the next level of the joint venture. So we have created what I call a one home policy, where our people sit together and we don't have any more Delta office or Korean Air office. We have one home in Seoul, we have one home in Tokyo, we have one home in Atlanta, we have one home in Nagoya, we have one home in Osaka. And that empower our people to be together all the time and to learn from each other all the time. And that is another big competitive advantage that I think it gets felt by our customer. We're now talking together about sustainability. And when you think about sustainability, I think about the big efforts that Delta is taking in retiring fleet like the 777 and replacing with more fuel efficient fleet like the 359 and the 339 that are continuing to grow in our fleet and that they're being deployed in Asia Pacific. If you think about in 2018, 3 years ago, only 15 to 20% of our flying was on new generation aircraft like 359 or 339. And by next year, when we come back from the pandemic, we hope probably 100% of our flying will be on new generation aircraft with significant impact on our fuel burn consumption. And Delta is really upgauging its game in terms of sustainability, and it's been one of the very first airlines to announce and start onboard recycling. And you heard from Korean Air very recently the plan to retire 380s and to retire 747. But it's not only about sustainability, it's about being an important part of the community and engage with the community that we live. And I'm very proud that our employees, Korean Air and Delta team, went together as part of the activity of planting trees in Mongolia, or went together in Los Angeles as part of Habitat for Humanity to help building houses for the people in need. So we look a way to give back to our communities, and we look a way to give back to our communities together. And this part of our management job is definitely as exciting and as important as we continue to build together our product, our technology, and our service. And also on that front, the joint venture has been at the very forefront of looking at new technology like baggage tracking, like dual check-in on our application, like looking at biometrics at the airport so that you can board the plane without having to use paper anymore. And clearly the pandemic has slowed down some of the speed of our, let's say, investment in technology, and has made very humble in focusing on safety for our customer and our employees. But I think the time that we will start looking at those again is coming. And we're very excited to do that in partnership with Korean Air. I think I can tell you many other stories of why this joint venture is successful, but I think what is most important to hear is the voice of our customer. And I couldn't be more proud to think that in a year so difficult like 2021, in a year where all our operation has been impacted, like probably very few businesses have been impacted, Korean Air and Delta reciprocally were awarded two of the most important industry awards. Delta as the winner of the 2021 JD Power Award for Customer Satisfaction, and Korean Air named Best Airline of the Year by ATW. So this is really a testament of what our people are doing, and it's really our customer telling us that they appreciate our effort to make their journey as safe as it could be during this difficult time. And of course now, with some of the travel, at least in domestic US, recovering, we are facing all new challenges. We are rebuilding the operation. We are rebuilding the airline. And trust me, that's not easy either. After we had to park the airline or shrink the airline, and now we have to grow again and we have to restart traveling, and we need to make sure that we keep giving our customers that level of service that made us a premium brand and that makes them choose Delta or choose them Korean Air on that trust and on that reliability that we can provide them. And it's been a challenging in a time where everybody is restarting very fast. Internationally, we are not at that point yet. As you know, some of the Asia economy, which have been the very best one in managing the pandemic in terms of controlling the number of cases, like Korea and like China, like Taipei, they remain extremely close to international travel. So I think we still need some time before we will see the recovery of the industry. But despite it's going to take still some time for the international and probably the US-Asia traffic to recover, we do believe that people want to go back to travel. Everywhere we see opening of the marketplace, we saw that the demand reacted very strong because people want to travel, people want to connect, people want to be together. And also in the business side, we see that people miss the ability to meet, the ability to do business face to face. And so from that perspective, we are very encouraged as vaccination rate continues. And I know August, September, October will be very key months for Korea, for Japan, for some of the key Asia economies as vaccination rate progress towards herd immunity. I think we will see that demand rebounding and that people start traveling again across our system. And for us, there couldn't be anything more exciting than looking at the joint venture now in terms of what is our next potential. Because I feel like in the first 3 years, we just scratched the surface of where we can go and how much we can grow. And I think once we are out of the pandemic tunnel, I think we're going to be able to deploy more and more growth into Incheon. And as you know, we are also right now with Korean Air during a process of potential merger with Asiana Airlines, which I think will make Korean even a stronger aviation market with a strong home carrier that is going to be able to further grow the connectivity at Incheon. So we're also looking forward to that as a potential great development for Korea. And as we combine those demand and merger perspective, I think there wouldn't be any other places to be sitting than here in Seoul and looking forward to bright growth opportunities together. With that, I really want to say thank you, everybody. It's been a great pleasure to be together. Again, I really look forward to meet you in person. And before that, I really hope to see you on our planes. And I hope it's not going to take too long for all of you to be able to reconnect with friends and family across the world. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.